It is time for our weekly Intermedia Game of the Week preview show. And this week, we're back to Pickaway County as the Logan Elm Braves will host the Miami Trace Panthers. I'm Dan Ramey, he's Mike Smith. And I was at this game 2 years ago, and it was an exciting matchup. But those kids that are seniors now for this Miami Trace team, they were just learning at that point in time, and they've learned a lot. You take a look at Logan Elm, they've had some success over the last couple of years. So this is going to be an interesting battle. I visited with Terry Holbert yesterday, and I asked him at one point, I said, do you mirror each other in any way? And he said, well, yeah, in some ways, but there's other differences. So I'll let him explain that a little later on in the show.
There was something that these two teams did have in common last year, though. They both beat Hamilton Township. Logan Elm beat them for the Tri-Championship in the Mid-State League to finish the regular season, and then Miami Trace beat them the following week in the playoffs.
That might have been the worst weather we experienced last year, too. And Hamilton Township, who has the field turf, they came to Miami or to Logan Elm, and it was as if they've never been on grass before.
What is this?
Yeah, it was a much different expectation once the game begun. But Logan Elm was fired up and ready to go. And so we've seen a lot of good football out of both of these teams over the years. The last time I saw Miami Trace was when they defeated Chillicothe in the playoffs, and that was a night and day difference. But they didn't have all their players when they played them the first time early in the season when it was an FAC contest. All right, coming up here shortly, we will hear from Terry Holbert. We would like to say we spoke with Jerry Williams, but unfortunately we were unable to connect, but we will go over some of the personnel that Miami Trace has. But first, we want to take a look back on how things played out in week number 2 of the high school football season. And we start with the Frontier Athletic Conference, and Miami Trace picked up their first win of the season, 21-19 over Wilmington, in what used to be a long-time SCOL rivalry.
Yeah, 2-point game there, and a safety. That was, I don't think, the final score in the ball game, but that 2 points ends up being the difference in the contest.
Right. As we see, Chillicothe is still looking for that first score. They're hoping to have that as they go into their bout with Western Brown this coming Friday. But the one score that stands out to me, Ironton over Jackson, 51-14. And they've won how many straight games now? They've won back-to-back state championships, right?
I believe that's correct.
At Ironton. And when you've got a schedule and you're playing an independent schedule and 5 of the teams are out-of-state teams,
yeah, one after.
It's like nobody in the state wants to play them, in that regard. Yeah. So let's move on now to our next conference, and that's the Mid-State League Buckeye Division. Amanda Clear Creek picked up a big win over Scioto and kind of, I think, caught the Shermans in check there.
That game was held up for about a half hour or so. At the end of the contest, I think it was 2 minutes to go because of lightning. Scioto had the ball, was driving, couldn't put it in to end the game.
Week 1, Tays Valley was blasted by Grove City. They come right back. They face Bloom Carroll and pick up a win.
That's a big one. I did not see that coming in light of what we saw out of Bloom the week before, 38-0 over Chillicothe, but Tays Valley flexing their muscle on that one.
And the Circleville Tigers, they are much improved, and they've scored double-figure scoring here the last 2 weeks. And a nice opening win over Westfall, I believe it was, and then this one over Vinton County. And Fairfield Union got a big scoring output as well. They didn't score much in the first week, but here they come away with a 48-6 win over Meggs. And Logan Elm, Westfall, Pickaway County rivalry right there.
Yes, sir. And Logan Elm, of course, with that win, they'll be 2-0 going into our ball game Friday night.
All right, on to our next slide for you here tonight. We have Ohio Capital Conference Buckeye Division play, and Groveport, Logan picked up their first win of the year. Newark looks like they're going to be a handful. Pickerington Central, after being humbled by Harvest Prep in week 1, came away with a big win. And, of course, there again is that Tays Valley score again over Bloom Carroll. as we look on to the SOC, yes, Eastern Pike, a winner over Huntington. That was our game of the week last week, and both of them going in 1-0. And I think Huntington was puffed up and ready to jump into action, but penalties really gave them woes and turnovers. And they turned the ball over a couple of times as they were driving in for a score. Let's see, what else stands out to us here? We've talked about most of those, but Zane Trace falling to Waverly.
Yeah, 0-2 now.
Waverly is off to that 2-0 start. On to the SVC.
This is the SVC.
That was the SVC.
Yeah.
Adena's off to a 2-0 start.
Yes. Alexander played on Thursday last week, came away with that shutout victory over Scioto East. Athens put a lot of points on the board, and Wellston handed Piketon a loss, 34-27. So that's your second week recap, and it's hard to believe a fifth of the season is done.
It goes by fast.
It certainly does. All right, coming up here shortly, we'll visit and hear from Terry Holbert, head coach of the Logan Elm Braves. You're watching and listening to the Litter Media Game of the Week preview show here on Litter Media.
Our financial lives have never been more complex, and some decisions just can't wait, which is why our K&B Mobility app gives you instant access to the financial tools you need wherever you are. Get a clear picture of all of your accounts, check your daily transactions, receive account alerts, and much more. So no matter where you are or what you are doing, you can make the best decisions for you and your financial goals. Download our Kingston National Bank Mobility app today.
Are you looking for a beer that satisfies your thirst and love of country? Armed Forces Brewing Company brews beer for patriots. Celebrate freedom with every sip. Armed Forces Brewing Company. Freedom never tasted so good.
Whenever I first applied for the Archviz opportunity, do I have to pay this back? Do I have to do that? Like, is it a loan? And it's not. It's a scholarship. A goal of mine is to graduate college debt-free. If you're a crew member, you get $2,500 a year, and if you're a manager, you get $3,000. And especially if you're going locally to college, like to the branch or something like that, it's really helpful.
Mark came to the Adena Orthopedic and Spine Institute in severe arm pain from a degenerative disc. Minimally invasive spinal surgery got him back to what matters most. At Adena, we do what we love, so you can too.
Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, serving Central and Southern Ohio for more than 4 decades. Give them a call for your needs at Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Litter Quality Propane, 92 years of serving propane users in Southern and Central Ohio. Reliable supply, reliable service, reliable people. Litter Quality Propane. On the Litter Media Game of the Week preview show, it is Miami Trace at Logan Elm, and we have the pleasure of having Terry Holbert with us. He's the head coach of the Logan Elm Braves. And Terry, you went 9-2 last year. You're having some early success this year at a 2-0 start. And let's take a look at how the first few weeks have gone for you so far, picking up wins over Zane Trace and Westfall.
Yeah, you can never complain about being 2-0 and starting the year off 2-0. You know, I kind of mentioned that over the last couple of weeks, but just as a team, there's a lot of things that we need to continue to work on and improve upon. And so that's really been a focus this week of practice, you know, getting off to a faster start, cleaning some things up offensively. We've had too many penalties, too many self-inflicted wounds. But, you know, we're thrilled to be 2-0, and especially coming into this challenging game against Miami Trace this week.
You have some experience coming back for this year. I believe, 18 seniors, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But in the same light, you lost some key individuals as well.
Yes. You know, really on both sides of the ball, we only return about 5 starters. So a little less than half of our starters on both sides. We do have a big senior class, but there's a good handful of those guys who this is really their first varsity experience. You know, on offense, we had lost our top 4 offensive production guys off of last year's team. but you have a senior quarterback who's an excellent player who's been there for 4 years. You know, he will be a 4-year letter winner when he is done. And that kind of helps soften that blow a little bit. And then, you know, what really excites me about having that many seniors is those guys are only going to get better as the season moves on. You know, even though they're getting this is some of their first varsity experience, I believe that they're going to continue to improve week in and week out. And so I'm excited as we progress forward here.
Who would you say is the heartbeat of this team?
You know, being that the senior class is so large with the amount of individuals we have, they always set the standard. You know, I could probably pick 4 or 5 from that group or from that class, but I have really just had some kind of one-on-one meetings with them as a group, and maybe more so than I've done in the past, just really relinquished ownership to them. You know, when there are issues taking place, maybe at times in the past where our staff would have stepped in, I turn it over to our seniors. You know, they set the standard, they set the example, and so I've given them that ownership and that freedom. But with those things comes responsibility and expectation as well, and they've certainly answered the call to this point.
You mentioned self-inflicted wounds that you've had so far in the first 2 weeks. It's always good to be able to come away with a win when you have those circumstances, but you're facing a much improved Miami Trace team, and they will take advantage of those miscues.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why it's so critical that we continue to get better and get better in a hurry. Miami Trace has a lot of skill. I mean, they're very talented offensively. They move the ball very well, and you know, all around they've got a very veteran quarterback. They've got a good receiving core, 2 good runners in the backfield, and some really good size up front. So, you know, if we're not fundamental, if we're not sound, we'll be in situations where we're trying to kind of dig ourselves out of. Now, I have full confidence in our guys. You know, I'm excited about the opportunity to play and the challenge that it is, but this is a great measuring stick game for us and probably them as well this early in the season. And, you know, the week after we head into league play, not looking ahead at all, but it's a great measuring stick for us before we get into the mid-state league.
Do you emulate each other in any fashion?
In some manners, yes. You know, I mean, offensively, I think the skill or the wide array of skill kind of mimics each other on both sides of the ball. Defensively, you know, we have 2 different structures. They're more of kind of a 3-4 team. We're more of a 4-down front team. So the structure of defense looks differently, but maybe athlete for athlete in the skill position, sure. I mean, there's some similarities.
You've been on the road and you've been at home so far. And last time we saw you play Miami Trace at home, it was a heavy favor on your side, 35-10. But last year, of course, a little tighter contest. And as we said, you know, Miami Trace is coming around, putting some things together, and that will be a challenge as well. Special teams, had any changes there in any fashion?
I mean, we throughout the first couple of weeks, you know, we've been pretty consistent. Now, our place kicker, our kicker, and our punter are 3 different individuals. You know, I know a lot of schools probably have the same person that does all 3 of those, but we have 3 different. And so I guess in some sort of way they specialize in what they do. But we're going to proceed forward with things as usual this Friday.
You have built a great atmosphere at Logan Elm, especially with the team entrance and opportunity to walk through that crowd of younger Braves along the line. You've really brought that young generation, the future Braves, together with the Braves of today. And that I think is really hats off to you for doing that, because it only builds for the future.
Absolutely. I mean, those are the foundational pieces of our program. We run a camp, as most do, every summer. But one thing, you know, we'll give them a T-shirt, but we always give them a football as well. And there's nothing like, you know, my son, who is a second grader in our program. You know, week 1, he was water boy at Zane Trace, and week 2, coming into week 2, we had one of our, you know, before we said our bedtime prayers, he had to break some news to me. He said, "Hey, Dad," he said, can I not be water boy Friday? I want to play some football with my friends." And wasn't even a second thought about it. Like, absolutely, dude, you go do that. And so I'm thrilled. You know, they're playing ball at the games, which is what they should be doing. We've got a great youth program, and so we're just trying to continue to build upon what's been established.
Some of the football games that people don't see are the ones going on behind the stands, and there's a lot of talent being developed right there.
Absolutely.
So Terry, it'll be good to see you again this weekend, and we wish you well, and we'll look forward to seeing you Friday night.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you all as well.
We'll continue with more at the Litter Media Game of the Week preview show in just a moment, right after this.
Our financial lives have never been more complex, and some decisions just can't wait, which is why our K&B Mobility app gives you instant access to the financial tools you need wherever you are. Get a clear picture of all of your accounts, check your daily transactions, receive account alerts, and much more. So no matter where you are or what you are doing, you can make the best decisions for you and your financial goals. Download our Kingston National Bank Mobility app today.
Find a career you love with Pickaway-Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway-Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
At Country Clipper, pride runs deep. We take pride in knowing our mowers help create a space for families to make memories. That our features transform mowing into an enjoyable experience. Most importantly, we take pride in knowing the decision to purchase a Country Clipper will be one you can be proud of for years to come. Country Clipper zero-turn mowers.
Each week, we'll announce the Neil Coleman Insurance Wyandotte Mutual Litter Media Player of the Week, presented by Homeland Credit Union. And in December, we'll announce the Player of the Year. Nominate any amateur athlete by visiting littermedia.com and click on Player of the Week. You'll also see the players we've named throughout the year. Make your nomination today for the Neil Coleman Insurance Wyandotte Mutual Litter Media Player of the Week, presented by Homeland Credit Union.
And we'll be making that announcement coming up here shortly, so stick close for that here on the Litter Media Game of the Week preview show. As we mentioned, we were unable to connect with Jerry Williams, head coach of the Miami Trace Panthers. We'll certainly talk to him tomorrow evening, Friday evening, game night. But Mike, you've got a look at some of the players that we'll expect to be hearing on Litter Media Radio.
Oh, Trey Robinette is their quarterback. He's a 6'3" senior. In their first week at home, Waverly, who's 2-0 coming out of the gate, showed right out in week one that they were a team to reckon with as they went to Miami Trace and won that game 28-23. So give kudos to the Tigers, but a good bounce-back win for the Panthers, coming back in week two, going to Wilmington for a 21-19 victory. But Trey Robinette leads the charge. They've got some depth on this team this year. Number of skilled position players like Malachi Jones, Julian Baker had a big game, Cooper Enix, Sky Salyers. A lot of attention is going to one of their linemen, 6'7" junior, Adam Guthrie. We've seen Adam on the basketball court. His older brother, who's playing Division II ball, if I'm not mistaken, I saw last week that Adam has already been given a offer from Florida State to play football.
Wow. Yeah.
I've been watching some video of Miami Trace over the last couple of weeks, and most of his videos are what you call pancake blocks. That's when you hit your defensive opponent so hard, you're on top of him, pancaking him.
And I feel bad for the person underneath him.
Yeah, but he's had a number of those, so he will be a major force for Logan Elm to try to get around. I don't think they can get through him. They'll probably have to try to use some of their speed people on defense to try to get around him, or else center the attack on the other side of the field, because Adam is a big kid.
And, you know, when we were up in the broadcast booth on a regular basis, you'd see these kids from a distance, but when I've been down on the field, they are just massive.
Yeah.
And it's like, what happened to this human being, you know? And being a little guy most of my life, I can't imagine trying to go toe-to-toe with somebody like that.
I had a chance to interview his brother 2 years ago. He was 6'8".
Yeah.
Adam's just a shrimp. He's only 6'7". But he may end up being bigger than Big Brother before it's all over with.
And at 18 years old, you're not done growing.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, the guy is mobile. He's not just a big kid. He is mobile. And when you've got that kind of size and those kind of feet that can move up and down that line,
you're going to draw the attention of Florida
Absolutely.
State.
That's why you got Division I teams clamoring to get a hold of this kid, and he's still just a junior in high school.
Yeah. The focus will be what can Logan Elm do offensively, I think, compared to because we're hearing more about their offense and what their defense is able to do. With Miami Trace, we're hearing more about their offense.
Right. Well, Trey Robinette, as seasoned quarterback, he's a senior. We've seen him also on the basketball court. But when you've got some skill position players that can go out, and it's one thing to throw it, you got to have somebody go out there and get it. Mm-hmm. And it should be an interesting matchup because Logan Elm has some good skilled people of their own. Of course, their quarterback, Aaron Walters, how many times we saw them last year. Yeah. He was our game of the week or game of the night player, I think, once or twice. But Keegan Deal, the big running back struck me, Michael Bach.
Yeah.
Mike had some really good games when we saw him. He doesn't look very tall, but he's like a bowling ball rolling through there. So it should be, we at least hope, will be a great matchup at Logan Elm Friday night.
When you think about Aaron Walters and some of the plays I've seen him pull off, it's almost John Elway-esque.
Yeah.
If you remember John Elway as a player. I've seen him run around in the backfield to elude defenders and then somehow get a ball to somebody down the field. Yeah. So, it's been pretty cool to see that happen.
You might remember, of course, one of the wide receivers for Logan Elm probably has made more of a name on the basketball court, Nehemiah Wall. This kid is an athlete, folks. And when you've got people like that, just go out there and we'll get you the ball. We'll find a way to get it to you and then do your stuff in the open field.
We'll put it up, you just go get it.
Yeah.
And we saw during the basketball season in that battle with Scioto over at Miami Trace, that kid he was a game saver.
Took over.
In what he was doing. All right, coming up in a moment, our Neil Coleman Insurance, Wyandotte Mutual, Litter Media Player of the Week, presented by Homeland Credit Union. Thank you, Homeland Credit Union, for jumping on board for the campaign for the rest of the year. And coming up in a moment, we'll have that announcement for you. Stick close here on the Litter Media Game of the Week Preview Show.
As a professional race car driver, I live for speed, power, and performance on and off the track.
All right, well, here we go, baby. Wall on your left. 3 to your right. Hard left. Get on the gas. Going for the win. There you go.
That's why I use the Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest lawnmower. Race into your local dealership today and test drive a new Dixie Chopper.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
Serving our area for more than 4 decades, Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. If you click on any ad on our website, you'll find more information. AccurateHVAC.com.
Find a career you love with Pickaway-Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway-Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
Litter Quality Propane. There is no bill when there's a fill. Contact Litter Quality Propane today about our metered gas service at litterpropane.com. Well, time to make the announcement of this week's Litter Media Player of the Week, thanks to Neil Coleman Insurance, Wyandotte Mutual, and presented by Homeland Credit Union. We go to Rio Grande for this athlete, and it is Amarissa Kearns. She's a Lancaster High School graduate, and in cross country, she was named the River Estates Conference Women's Cross Country Runner of the Week. League officials made the announcement on Monday. Kearns, again a junior from Lancaster, was the top non-NCAA Division I runner in the Thundering Herd Invitational hosted by Marshall University over the weekend. Kearns finished 7th overall, running the 5K course in 19 minutes, 3.7 seconds. Can you remember being able to do that?
Not in distance, but that's impressive for an NAIA runner to do that well against Division I athletes. That's the key. Not just 7th, but that you're running against D1 athletes.
We had a second photo that we could have used, but she looked like she was in pain running. And I thought, let's put up the other photo.
This is distance, right?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
She probably wasn't.
Probably so. So congratulations to Amarissa Kearns. Of course, you can make your nomination of a player, an amateur athlete, no matter what level of sport, as long as they're not being paid. You can make sure you send that to us through our email. Find all the players of the week that have been recognized this year so far on our website. Go to littermedia.com and click on Player of the Week underneath the sports section. I believe we have one final break. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll play that and come back with some final comments as our Litter Media Game of the Week preview show continues here on Litter Media.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When insuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
I was looking for a first job. I had been babysitting and decided it was something for a little more permanent. It pays very well. It's convenient. You can make your own schedule with the flexibility. That's something that I like. The people that I work with are great. I wouldn't ask for a better crew or management team to work for.
Pain was interfering with Tiffany's active lifestyle. Same-day hip replacement at the Adena Orthopedic and Spine Institute got her back to the community she calls home. At Adena, we do what we love, so you can too.
Are you looking for a beer that satisfies your thirst and love of country? Armed Forces Brewing Company brews beer for patriots. Celebrate freedom with every sip. Armed Forces Brewing Company. Freedom never tasted so good. Each week, we'll announce the Neil Coleman Insurance Wyandotte Mutual Litter Media Player of the Week, presented by Homeland Credit Union. And in December, we'll announce the Player of the Year. Nominate any amateur athlete by visiting littermedia.com and click on Player of the Week. You'll also see the players we've named throughout the year. Make your nomination today for the Neil Coleman Insurance Wyandotte Mutual Litter Media Player of the Week, presented by Homeland Credit Union.
Week 3 of the high school football season, and after this bout with Miami Trace for Logan Elm, they'll be opening up league play in the Mid-State League Buckeye Division next week at Circleville. For Miami Trace, they still have a couple more weeks before the FAC takes into action because there's only 6 schools in the conference, and so they wait until week number 5 to get play underway.
September 27th is their first week of league play.
All right, so again, our Litter Media Game of the Week is Miami Trace at Logan Elm. If you can't be there, listen in on Litter Media Radio, and you can find that when you go to our website, littermedia.com. I'm Dan Ramey. He's Mike Smith. Mike will be joined by BJ Daly for the broadcast coming up on Litter Media Radio. Thanks for watching the Litter Media Game of the Week preview show.